An elderly woman fights off an intruder in the early hours of the morning. Hear what she has to say coming up.
As students protest the governor's proposed spending cuts, university presidents are pleading with lawmakers, asking them to consider how they could damage their schools.
Still some flakes flying around the rest of the day, maybe even a little rain mixed in, but I'll show you a beautiful weekend coming up.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Well, good afternoon to you from WKYT News. We're glad you're along. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. The snow still falling this midday in some areas, and it's expected to last like that through the day.
From time to time, temperatures are above freezing, so that is not really creating any problems out on the roads, and things are looking up for the weekend. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live at our First Alert Weather Center now with a quick look ahead.
Yeah, and the look ahead isn't that good of a look. I mean, what you have seen the past, 12, 24 hours is exactly what you're going to see the rest of the afternoon. We just continue to see that funneling in. Northwest wind, few flakes here and there, not causing many issues, but it's just some flakes out and about, and that's about it. But I'll be honest with you, this is actually what I love. You get some flakes flying across the area, looks pretty falling, and it's not really causing many problems, so we'll take that. And you can see out on the yard, the light, I mean, we had a very, very light coating. I don't even know I want to call it a coating here at the station, but there were patches of snow here and there. This is already gone. You got to remember, the ground is 40 to 45 degrees. Which means anything that falls out of the sky, it's going to be hard-pressed to stick there to the ground. Still a light coating out toward the Mountain Parkway in eastern Kentucky and Covington northbound. Not seeing much snow up there either. So we're going to talk about what we can expect the rest of the afternoon, because we actually get a bit of a mix. How that's going to affect you, I'll have that coming up.
All right, Micah, thank you. We're not the only ones dealing with this storm system. People from the Carolinas to New York are cleaning up after a deadly storm raced up the coast. Jamie Yukas is in Queens, New York, with a look at the damage.
Powerful winds toppled a massive tree in Long Island and flipped over a semi-truck on New York's George Washington Bridge as severe storms swept through the area overnight. In the Bronx, broken power lines sparked outside an abandoned apartment building that collapsed during the storm. The wicked weather also caused problems on the water. In Queens, the Coast Guard airlifted 7 crew members from a fishing boat that ran aground in rough seas. The air rescue was necessary after a Coast Guard boat flipped over as it tried to reach the vessel. The 5-member Coast Guard crew was able to swim to shore. There are no injuries reported from either crew. In the south, the storm system triggered deadly tornadoes. Waverly, Virginia was hit hard. At least 3 people were killed there, including a 2-year-old boy. Neighbor Vincent Donald was home when the storm came through.
Force of wind come, spinning, lift the roof and, I don't know, but I survived.
At least 3 tornadoes were reported in North Carolina. Homeowners, farmers, and businesses are all now assessing damage. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, Rockaway, New York.
Now, the power is also out for thousands of people, including 37,000 who started the day without lights in North Carolina. You can track snow and rain and the latest traffic with the WKYT Weather Plus Traffic app. Download it for free in the app or Google Play stores.
In other news at noon, the search is continuing here at midday for a man who broke into a Lexington home overnight. An elderly woman says she woke up about 2:30 this morning and found the stranger in her home on Marcellus Drive. That's off Loudon Avenue. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain has reaction from her in this Crime Tracker report.
The 77-year-old homeowner says she tried to fight off the intruder, a person she believes has been in her home once before.
He opened that window and I got up and come in here and there he was.
This morning, 77-year-old Marietta Shields woke up to an intruder in her living room.
He kept saying he had a gun. He pushed me where I went in the bedroom, and he pushing me, and then him was sighting.
Marietta says the intruder then saw her purse, grabbed it, and ran.
He bruised here and here.
Unfortunately, Marietta wasn't able to get a good look at the intruder. She says his face was covered.
I hope he goes to jail.
Marietta says she believes it's the same person who broke into her home earlier this month on February 4th. She says she wasn't home that time, but the person did enter through a different window and took her purse.
Love to find out who in the heck is doing it myself.
Lexington police say they're waiting to see surveillance footage from a speedway on New Circle Road. The speedway is about a half a mile from Marietta's home. Marietta says someone spent hundreds of dollars at that gas station earlier this month with her credit card. In Lexington, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Michelle, thank you. Lexington police say they're hoping to receive the surveillance footage at some point today. There was no description of the intruder from this morning's robbery other than the fact that the man was wearing a gray coat and some gloves. A Lexington house badly damaged in an overnight fire. More than a dozen crews were called out to Mulberry Drive off Wood Hill. That was just before 2 o'clock this morning. When firefighters got there, the flames were shooting through the home's roof. The battalion chief says that he's surprised that the structure is even standing. Crews think someone was living there, but they did not find anyone inside the house.
A new $444 million federal prison will be built in eastern Kentucky. Congressman Hal Rogers says the 1,200 inmate prison will be built in Lesher County. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch confirms federal funding has been secured for the project. Rogers says the prison could create about 300 full-time positions in a region that's lost more than 10,000 coal mining jobs over the last 8 years. The battle over funding for higher education in Kentucky is taking center stage again today at the state capitol in Frankfort.
University presidents, including those from Western Kentucky and from Morehead State, testified before a House Budget Committee about how Governor Matt Bevin's proposed budget cuts could impact their schools. WKYT's Mark Barber has the latest on the debate. Mark?
As hundreds of students protest the governor's proposed budget cuts outside the Capitol, presidents from several universities are testifying before a subcommittee that is reviewing the budget proposal, asking them to consider how it really could threaten the future of their universities. Morehead State University and Western Kentucky University are the latest universities to throw their weight behind the fight over funding for higher education. Top officials from UK, EKU, and KSU have already pleaded with lawmakers to consider what could happen to public universities under the governor's proposal. That proposal outlines a 4.5% spending cut for the rest of the fiscal year. The university cuts would increase to 9% over the next 2 years. The governor says the slash in spending is needed if the state is going to start bailing out the state's multi-billion-dollar pension shortfall. So what could the cuts look like for students and staff? Several university presidents say if the budget passes as is, students will see tuition hikes and employees will lose their jobs.
Even during the recession, when we were getting cut pretty hard, all those cuts pale in comparison to these cuts. We've got to deal with this level of cutting. I've got to protect the core curriculum.
Students and school leaders are promising to continue pushing against the proposed cuts as lawmakers continue to review the proposal. Lawmakers have until the end of April to decide on the budget. In Frankfort, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. And one question university presidents say that they are asking the governor is, why does he want universities to bail out the state's pension system when the schools are driving the state's economy? The state Senate has passed a bill that would extend the line of duty death benefits to Kentucky paramedics. Senate Bill 43 moved on to the House under a unanimous vote. It gives the families of EMS workers and rescue squad members the same benefits as those of police officers and firefighters. Senator Tom Buford of Nicholsville sponsoring the bill in memory of Jessamine County paramedic John Mackey. Later this afternoon, friends and family will begin saying goodbye to the chairman of the Fayette County School Board. John Price died this week after a 2-year-long battle with leukemia. He had served on the board since 2003. His visitation will be at Millward Funeral Home on North Broadway from 3 o'clock until 8 this evening, and his funeral will be held tomorrow afternoon at St. Peter Catholic Church at 1:30. Price will be buried at Bluegrass Memorial Gardens. A new survey reveals its list of the happiest and the healthiest cities in the United States, and Lexington is named the happiest city in the Bluegrass State.
Health weighs Well-being report says Naples, Florida is the happiest and healthiest city in the country based on low levels of stress and depression. Now, while Lexington was ranked in the lower percentile overall, it was named the happiest in all of Kentucky. Lexington scored among the top in the community category, which judges how much people like where they live, how safe they feel, and how prideful people are of their community. Louisville was ranked the second happiest city in the state.
Well, President Obama may be getting closer to finding a new justice for the U.S. Supreme Court, but the Senate is standing by its promise to block his nominees, whoever it may be. We'll have the latest on a possible showdown coming up on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, the legendary Ray Charles got the presidential treatment at the White House. We'll take you to the musical tribute next on WKYT.
To play on the floor at Rupp is special. To do it to bring awareness for a fellow firefighter makes it even more significant.
These guys are taking time away from their families and covering my shifts when I'm supposed to be there.
WKYT goes to Chicago to talk with a Lexington fireman battling cancer.
You can't just sit up here and be miserable. We're up here to beat this thing.
Hear his message of determination in the biggest fight of his life.
That's kind of what being a fireman is. You go into a chaotic situation and you bring it to order.
A Fireman's Fight, tonight at 6 on WKYT.
Think of it as a 7-seat theater for an action-packed thriller. The all-new Audi Q7.
It's Furniture World Superstore's biggest tax refund sale ever. Now's a great time to redecorate your home because Furniture World stretches your tax refund with huge savings store-wide, plus 2 years interest-free. Now at Furniture World, use your tax refund to refurnish your living room or dining room, update your bedroom, sleep better on a comfortable new mattress. We're serious about saving you big money. Get huge tax refund savings, plus it's interest-free for 2 full years. So hurry in and save during our biggest tax refund sale ever. Now at all 5 Furniture World Superstore locations.
If you've been in an accident with a semi-truck, let me give you some advice. The trucking company has investigators on the case right now. So should you. Time is of the essence. Evidence disappears. We have a crash team that can be on scene within hours. There are lawyers in our firm that only handle semi-truck cases. They eat it, breathe it, sleep it. All cases are not the same. Don't wait. Let's get started today. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
They say life gets better the older you get, and time becomes more valuable. Time to spend with family, time to try new things, time to have fun. At Kroger, you can have your prescriptions filled while you shop, so it's easy to save money and time with your Kroger pharmacy. And you can get back to the things you love.
Be heart smart. Your Kroger pharmacist can help you understand your heart health numbers, your medications, and so much more. See your Kroger pharmacist today.
Technology entire countries want to get their hands on. If they could ever catch you. The all-new Audi Q7.
Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. It appears President Obama is contemplating a Republican as a possible nominee for the vacant Supreme Court seat.
2 people familiar with the process say the president is considering Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval, who is a former U.S. District Judge. While he is a Republican, Sandoval is pro-choice. He said he is honored that his name is being mentioned, but he said he has not heard anything yet. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky has said Senate Republicans will not hold meetings nor vote on any person the president nominates. Republican presidential candidates square off in their 10th debate tonight in Houston, Texas. It's their last meeting before Super Tuesday. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz are poised to take on frontrunner Donald Trump, who is coming off a big win in this week's Nevada caucus. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders continue to gear up for their primary this weekend. That's in South Carolina this Saturday. Well, a musical tribute to Ray Charles is going on in Washington.
The President and First Lady celebrated the music legend as part of the in-performance at the White House presented by the Smithsonian. Contemporary artists, including Usher, Yolanda Adams, the band Perry, and Anthony Hamilton, performed Charles's classics. This is the 16th and final music tribute program to take place at the White House during the Obama administration. The show will be televised on tomorrow night on PBS. Time to suit up. Warner Brothers says advance ticket sales for Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, will begin next Monday, which many fans know is Superman's birthday. The film has British actor Henry Cavill reprising his role as Superman and Clark Kent, while Ben Affleck will don the Batsuit for the first time. It also stars Amy Adams, Lawrence Fishburne, Diane Lane, Jeremy Irons, and Holly Hunter. The Dark Knight and the Man of Steel will collide on the big screen March 25th.
All right, a big collision, right? Well, one part of the state is seeing a huge spike in flu cases, and it's happening just over the last week.
We'll have an update on that outbreak coming up on WKYT News at 12:30.
Northwest wind pumping on in here. Some, more snow showers, right? Throw in even some rain showers, but you know what? We hit the weekend, milder air returns. It's going to be nice. I'll have that coming up next.
Have something that needs investigating? Email us or call the WKYT Investigates tip line.
People know Window World as home of the original 189 window.
But that's just the beginning. We install siding too.
Our siding comes with energy-efficient, form-fitted foam.
Guaranteed for life.
Window World, simply the best siding for less.
It's the final days of Toyota's Anytime, Anywhere event. One last chance to get 0% financing on many of your favorite new Toyotas. Plus 2-year no-cost maintenance. And your first chance to get the all-new 4th generation Prius with more dynamic performance up to 58 mpg and 1.9 financing for 60 months. Or a great lease deal. So visit here and then come in here before it all ends February 29th. Toyota, let's go places.
All across America, families are coming back to Time Warner Cable for a whole new experience.
We came back for internet speeds so fast, even the kids are impressed. Oh, she's impressed.
We're catching up on movies and shows on demand just as fast as we can watch them.
TWC's home Wi-Fi is so strong, we can use all our devices at the same time.
Come back today. You'll get 30 meg internet, TV, phone, and more for $89.99 a month. And ask how you could get a $300 reward card. Call now.
We know they're a great value, but to see if Malto-Meal cereal tastes as good as they claim, we have assembled a panel of experts. Spoons are up, they are mid-crunch, and full thumbs!
Find Kung Fu Panda 3 specially marked cereal in stores now.
I'd been managing my heart condition for years when all of a sudden one day I get a call from my pharmacist. Turns out the medication my doctor had recently prescribed for my high blood pressure could have fatally interacted with my heart medication. My pharmacist saved my life.
Have a great day.
It's nice to know someone's looking out for you. Good Neighbor Pharmacy. Locally owned, locally operated, locally loved.
Visit Stephanie's Down Home Pharmacy in Corbin or Thompson's Pharmacy in Harrodsburg.
The Nighthawk Special, only $13.99 this week at Columbia Steakhouse.
When big news breaks, be the first to know. Download the WKYT News app and turn on push alerts. Breaking news at your fingertips when you need to know what's going on.
At Window World, you get the best price right up front.
Our windows feature the Good Housekeeping seal
And come with a lifetime limited warranty.
Act now and get a house full of windows for as low as $79 a month installed.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Get WKYT News and weather updates on 104.5 The Cat. Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
We have still the snow showers out and about and still not causing major issues. Now, we did have some light accumulation east of I-75. That was your best bet. And the rest of the afternoon, I don't see it being even a chance, really, because what we're going to be seeing is actually a bit of a mixture going on. If you look up toward the northeast, look over Moorhead. Look back towards, say, Lewis County. These areas showing up with the pink and green, mixed in with the white. What that is just a mixture outside. Now, it's not going to be much. It's going to be very light, but that's still going to cut down on any totals that's going to be going on throughout the rest of the afternoon. So just don't expect major impacts with this at all, maybe not even minor impacts. It's just going to be something falling out of the sky. That's about it. These grounds are very warm. I mean, you're talking 35 to 45 degrees. So it's going to be hard-pressed for anything to stick there on the grounds. There you go with the light snow. It continues the rest of the afternoon off into the evening hours. That snow starts to taper off during the evening hours. And when it tapers off, all you're going to be getting overnight and into tomorrow, just some flurries, and that's about it. So if you're not getting snow showers causing problems, you know flurries aren't going to do it. Tomorrow at 35 degrees, and then we ramp things up for the weekend. Saturday at 50 degrees, Sunday right around 60 degrees. The weekend forecast looks phenomenal. Now, it's not like this past weekend where we were in the 60s and 70s, but 50s and 60s, we will take that. If you have any plans going on, just know this weekend forecast is perfect for getting out and about. Light snow the rest of the afternoon. Like I said, a little bit of rain mixed in. And then we hit tomorrow with that flurry chance at 35 degrees. Come the weekend, 50 and 60 degrees showing up before the weekend. And it doesn't stop there. I mean, typically when you start getting higher and higher, it just drops down. And it doesn't really happen that way. Now, 13-degree drop is a big drop from Sunday into Monday, but still above average at 47. So then we hit next week. I would say Wednesday into Thursday is probably the time frame we need to watch because another system is going to be making its way on in here. That'll give us the opportunity for some more rain and some more snow. So it's going to be something to watch. And yes, again, this one's coming in from the south. Southwest.
Oh, we know what that means?
Yeah,
yes.
Another one to watch.
Starts roaring in, potentially.
That's right.
We'll see. All right, thank you. We're back in a moment on WKYT. The UK women say goodbye to their team leader.
And a Kentucky shot gets some national attention. Dave Baker's next with sports.
Checking stocks as we head to break this afternoon. The major market indicator split. The Dow is up, NASDAQ off just a bit, S&P 500 climbing.
Everyone's invited to celebrate Sheldon's birthday, including special back guest Adam West.
Happy birthday, Sherman.
A new Big Bang Theory, CBS tonight.
Just when you thought TV's #1 new comedy couldn't get any better.
I got a surprise.
Well, they went and added a pony.
Her name is Lemonade. Isn't she great?
Meet the newest member of TV's funniest family.
I'm drinking, she's driving.
New Life in Pieces, CBS tonight.
Oh, no.
It's the greatest 72 hours in furniture buying history. It's Burke Furniture's spectacular 72-hour sale with everything in our store on sale for 72 hours. It's Burke Furniture's spectacular 72-hour sale.
Important message for women and men ages 50 to 85. Please write down this toll-free number now. Right now in areas like yours, people are receiving this free information kit for guaranteed acceptance life insurance with a rate lock through the Colonial Penn program. If you are on a fixed income or concerned about rising prices, learn about affordable whole life insurance with a lifetime rate lock that guarantees your rate can never increase for any reason. If you did not receive your information or if you misplaced it, call this number now and we'll rush it to you. Your acceptance is guaranteed with no health questions. Please stand by to learn more.
I'm Alex Trebek, and the announcement you just heard is for a popular and affordable life insurance plan with a rate lock guarantee. That means your rate is locked in for life and can never increase. Did you get your free information kit in the mail? If not, please call this toll-free number now. In the last month alone, thousands have called about this plan with the rate lock guarantee through the Colonial Penn program. And here's why. This plan is affordable, with coverage options for just $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in and can never go up. And your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See how much coverage you can get for just $9.95 a month. Call now for your free information kit. Don't wait. Call today.
Call 1-800-909-4488 for your free information and free gift. There's no obligation. That's 1-800-909-4488. Or visit us online at colonialpenn.com. That number again is 1-800-909-4488. Call now.
It's the greatest 72 hours in furniture buying history. It's Burke Furniture's spectacular 72-hour sale with everything in our store on sale for 72 hours. It's Burke Furniture's spectacular 72-hour sale.
I'm WKYT's Rebecca Smith, and I stand for Kentucky.
John Calipari talks about it all the time, giving yourself up for the good of the team. And according to Cal's UK counterpart Matthew Mitchell, there's one player that stands out for his UK women in that category, and it's Janae Thompson, the Cats' lone senior, who'll be honored before tonight's final home game against Missouri. Thompson came to UK as a player who wanted to do and carry the load and to do it her way. But after an often painful period of adjustment, that changed.
That's leadership. When you sacrifice self for the team and you make decisions that are better for everybody else that aren't comfortable for you, to me that's heading in the right direction and being a leader. And
Sweet 16 in this state is special. That's because no matter what you're ranked when the regular season is over, one loss in the district opener and your season is kaput. That's the scenario as 11th region favorite Dunbar met Lexington Christian Academy last night. 43rd district semis, and LCA Nate Valentine's club goes on a mini run. Kyle Rode, boy, what a good-looking player. The no-look pass to Austin Hall. Dunbar takes a quick timeout. More Eagles backdoor cut. Rode with a lay-in. He had 24. He was awfully good. But Dunbar rights the ship. Darius Williams on point last night. 3 is good. Williams with 21. And Tavion Hollingsworth with the drive and hits the floater. Hollingsworth, a team high 24. Dunbar on to the finals of the 43rd district, where they'll play Lafayette tomorrow night. 71-56 is the final. And here it is, Morgan County and Elliott County, the shot of the night, maybe the year. Jordan Perry with a rebound and heaves it the length of the court. But Elliott County gets the win in the 62nd district. Showing that everywhere. It's one of ESPN's top plays now. 65-53 is the final. Next up for the UK men, it's Vanderbilt at Memorial Gym on Saturday. The Commodores coming off that big double-digit win at Florida on Tuesday night. Tip-off is set for 4 o'clock right here on WKYT, and afterwards, a special edition of Wildcat Wrap-Up. And you can catch a new edition of This is Kentucky Basketball this Sunday. Freshman Isaiah Briscoe joins WKYT's Jennifer Palumbo for this week's show. It airs Sunday morning at 11:30 right here on WKYT. Tonight on the Big Blue Insider, Mark Berger, the angry man, sitting in for Dick Gabriel. Dick's away with the UK baseball team in California. Mark will be talking about the Cats. That's coming up tonight at 6 on 630 WLAP. Much more on senior night coming your way a little bit later, guys. But for now, that's a look at sports on this Thursday.
All right. I hope Dick's enjoying himself out there in California.
Sounds nice, yes.
Right.
And there's more to come in our next half hour of WKYT News at noon.
More news ahead. 5 Paris police officers who won the right to stay on the force will not be back on the job anytime soon.
A former GOP presidential nominee is calling out the current frontrunner. I'm Weijia Jiang at the White House with that story coming up.
Friday night's Mega Millions jackpot is $125 million, and Saturday night's Powerball jackpot is $266 million.